Hello again, my dear ones. I hope after the first two parts of this little Christmas series, The Big Lie of Christmas, you already have thought over this pagan stuff. And yeah, because now in the third part, it gets even a little hotter and tougher. But to somehow end the first two parts, I want to give you a little homework because we ended with the mammon thing, because Christmas is really taken over for a long time by economical paganity. They drive us into their, wants and needs. And therefore, I would suggest that you take a notebook and note all the costs you already had until now. And after this Christmas in 2022, that you add all your costs, all the expensive food you bought, all the drinkings, the wine, the beer, all the gifts, all the decoration. List up everything you have had as Christmas expenses, really everything. Also, mailing costs, everything. And then add it up, and especially watch how much you had to finance by your credit card, or also with the interest you have to pay because you have stretched your accounts too much. And then watch if this really, or try to see if this really is God's will, that you do such stuff. Okay? So now we come to number 6. This is at least as bad as the other numbers were. So we come now to the signature logo or signature prop of Christmas, which is the Christmas tree. Also, many other religions took over this habit, by the way, because their kids find it so nice. Even Jews or Muslims sometimes have those Christmas trees in their homes. To have a tree with decoration on it is more or less a signature logo of Christmas. It is colorful, shiny, gold, silver, red, and so on. And also this, I have to disappoint you, is totally pagan. Nowhere in the Bible, God orders that we cut away healthy trees, whose oxygen production we need, by the way, to kill them by this and put them in our living rooms for pagan decoration. On the contrary, God does not like that we cut trees in the Torah, especially not fruit trees. But in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 10, we read that this tree cutting is already back then totally pagan stuff, and the really disrespects it and hates it. So welcome to paganity, to Christmas paganity. Furthermore, Christmas balls represent the former custom to hang the heads of killed people on those trees, the heads of so-called heretics often, who were at the time often the true believers. So you're falling in the back of true believers. By this, your nice shiny balls on your dead killed trees represent bloody heads of maybe true believers. Merry Christmas. This means if you are in a church that has a big Christmas tree inside standing there on Christmas service, maybe even decorated with stars and tiny balls, a lot of lights that swallow a lot of energy, that is a special issue in our times especially, like entire Christmas does, it uses a lot of energy. This is an issue in itself, the huge amount of energy spent for this pagan stuff in the cities and homes. But if you have such a church, you are without any doubt in a pagan church that teaches lies to you and your children. God warns us even in the Bible that the Antichrist spirit changes times and feasts. So which times and feasts does it change? The Antichrist spirit changes the times and feasts of the true God described in the Torah. So if you're in such a church that changed the feasts of the Lord and the times of the Lord, you're in a church that is derived from the big Antichrist dogma church, which was established by emperors together with the religious leaders back then. This is, by the way, a healthy tree that is cut away from its roots. Maybe this is a picture of you and your church, indeed. Well, I would say all of this is totally heathen. For me, as an original German, it is very unfortunate that most of the Christmas habits came from and were invented by the tribe of the Germanen, the Germans, the former Nordic guys. They invented things like the Advent wreath, Christmas markets, Christmas trees, and so on. Although they named it a little different back then, because it had nothing to do with Christmas, Intermingled with some Roman habits and gods and customs, that's what we have today. As many planets are named after those Roman gods, I speak that name now under the protection of Yeshua, as the Roman customs in December around the 20th were dedicated to Saturn. This word also appears in the word Saturday. It was the worship day for Saturn, and Sunday obviously was the worship day for the sun god. All of those are Roman heathen gods with a legend behind them. This pagan feast of Saturn consisted of several days with eating and drinking and giving presents. What a wonder! The looks of this god was taken for the today's outer appearance of Santa Claus, by the way. You can find all this if you Google. There are articles, there are dictionary things about that. There's even Wikipedia. You can find a lot of things by just Googling. The Germans, on the other hand, worshipped trees like big old oaks. They had sacrificial and other ceremonies under those trees. They worshipped their god under those big trees and so on. Also sacrificing. Here and then they made maybe also a human sacrifice. So this is the red blood of Christmas. They also worshipped those evergreen trees, literally, like pines and firs, and adored them. So, what are you doing on Christmas? You and your so-called church. You sit under an evergreen tree, worshipping the tree itself, like with singing the song, O Tannenbaum, O Tannenbaum. This is an adoring song for this tree. And you adore strange sun gods by the pure date of it. And you do all sorts of pagan habits. Also, the Advent wreath is a pagan German habit. Candles on the circle. Shamanic. And then you think that all this stuff pleases God? And that you, with your idol worshipping churches and priests and pastors, please the highest God? Can you really think that? Do you know what the true God says in Jeremiah the book of Jeremiah? It is very hard. Attention. He literally says to you and your churches that he will throw back into your faces the shit, the feces of your wretched feasts. He will throw that back into your faces, into the faces of the wretched paganized church, priests, pastors, leaders, believers, politicians, etc. The feces of your feasts he will throw back into your faces. Such ugly word God is forced to use that you simply start to understand that this all is not funny. And this is his true opinion, the opinion of the highest God, of the Father and the Son. Do we care? No, right? Do you know who also worshipped under such trees and gave sacrifices to strange gods? It's a very famous man of the Bible. Like many Christians still think that he was a man of God. It was Solomon, King Solomon, in his later years. Because all of these hundreds of wives out of foreign countries brought with them their gods, and he allowed it. And they made up their altars under the trees, and they sacrificed those gods. And they seduced him. Solomon even thought that this is okay and God would be still true to him. Although, by this, he already shredded the first commandment. I am your God, you shalt not have other gods before me. But God did not tolerate this. God cut him off because of it very soon. Furthermore, Solomon also not held many other commandments, like the one that a king should not have many wives. He was a super rich guy. Maybe also this is connected to it, because many rich people in rich countries think they can do what they want and they can idol worship with their wretched churches and teachings, and that God would tolerate it. Yeah, I don't think so. Solomon had to die really early, obviously, because he did not repent. And after him, Israel shattered into pieces. He brought Israel under the curse of God. Like you bring your life and the life of your family under the curse, celebrating pagan feasts under trees, sacrificing gifts you pay for with steps. Money is kind of the blood of our economical life. Today, in the industrial countries at least, we cannot live without this economical blood. They leave you bleeding financially the gods you're adoring. I know all of this for a very long time. And I do not have a Christmas tree any longer, about 15 years now, and no Advent wreaths also. I only have some candles, like always in winter, because it's so dark. But we still have those holidays. They are really legal holidays in many countries. In Germany, we have 2 legal holidays on Christmas. I actually do not know what to do with them, as I do not want to hold them. Sure, we even eat and have free. I even tried to work a little bit on those days to not give them honor, and especially not honoring the forces behind them. By the way, in fact, the fact that we have legal holidays at all at this time perfectly shows the fact how intermingled religion and politics are. All this was introduced after these early Christian, so to speak, councils, mainly in the 4th century, so very soon, between emperors and church leaders and popes and so on. They decided this, not God, not Jesus. They abolished the times and feasts of the highest God, a thing God and Yeshua wanders off. Because this is the Antichrist spirit that changes his times. And you play along. So you are a part of this Antichrist spirits. You are their helper. Now guess where this might lead you to. Maybe also eternity. In eternity. So you see, also in part 3, it's really hot. In part 4, we're gonna see where all this leads to. And maybe you hear the first 3 parts in a row, so you have the red thread, and really discuss it with your family, with your teachers and preachers, with your fellow believers, because you have really to decide what you do with it. Maybe it's one of your last calls you're getting from him. I don't know, but time is short anyway. And he will come back soon. So I wish you a good time until my next and probably the last video in this little series. And we're gonna see how this might end and what we could do with it. So goodbye, my dear ones.